Welcome back. Okay. Welcome. Why do I always clap? Stop. Should I go for it? Welcome back. This is part 2 of a new series where I'm testing out some brand new fragrances. In this episode, I'm going to be testing out some new fragrances in some soap. In the last episode, I was testing out these fragrance oils in some whipped soap. So if you haven't watched that yet, please go and watch that first. So due to all the different components that make up a fragrance oil, it can have all sorts of different effects when it goes into soap, such as discoloration. It can speed up the trace and accelerate it, so it thickens up really, really quick. It can make you go a little bit lumpy and seize up the mixture, and it can also just smell a little bit off. So we always test out the fragrances first in a little bit of soap before we do further testing to see if it really works in the soap. So today is going to be interesting. Look at all these fragrances that we're gonna test. There's so many. Ah. So we use a traditional method of making soap called the cold process method, and we're using my own recipe here. The oils that we're using are olive oil, coconut oil, apricot kernel oil, shea butter, sunflower oil and castor oil. All the oils were melted down all together. We don't separate our hard butters or our liquid oils. They all just get melted down together. And Sarah's just pouring in the lye into the oils here. And lye is a mix of sodium hydroxide and water, and together it makes the magic ingredient that turns the oils into soap. The way that we test out the fragrance oil in the soap is we pour roughly the same amount of soap into each of the little moulds that we have here, and we pour in the same amount of fragrance oil in it. If the mould is smaller, we put less soap in and less fragrance oil. We don't really measure what we're doing here. Generally just, eyeballing it seems to work. When we've got the soap in the mould and we've put the fragrance oil in there, we just mix it around with a little spatula, and this is where we're just sort of seeing if the soap speeds up trace, like if it gets thicker, and if like lumps start to form. And it's also a good opportunity to sort of see if the colour's going to change straight away, because sometimes the colour does change straight away, but sometimes it can take a few weeks while the soap's cure for the colour to actually change. And as we're going along, we are just making notes on our Google sheet that you might have saw earlier in the video. Oh, stinks. Which one is it? Chocolate orange, but it smells like nutmeg. That is disgusting. Ugh. So it's been about 3 weeks, and the reason I've waited that long is because, well, if you're a soap maker, you'll understand. Soap takes a few weeks to cure, which is basically the time that it takes for the soaps to allow all the water to evaporate and it to develop as far as it sort of needs to go. And over time, you will find the colours of the soap will change and the smell a little bit as well. So that's why I've waited so long. And it's a good job I've waited, because some of these looked really good on the day that we poured them in, but now they're kind of like a caramelly colour or an orangey colour or a brown or a black colour, and I'm going to take you through some of them now. So one of the most prominent ones, which I knew straight away was going black brown, I don't think you can see it from that far away, but they've literally gone dark brown like chocolate, and one of these is a chocolate orange fragrance, and you're probably thinking, oh god, that's horrible, but actually from testing it, it might actually be, if I want to use that fragrance, I can just keep it like that and not add any mica in the soap, like colour, because it's already gone brown and that's the colour I might want it to be. So it's a good job that we did the test. Another example is cookies and cream. I can't remember the supplier for this one, but it's gone brown again, which again, it doesn't mean it's not a bad thing. It's just, this is why you test so you know and you're prepared. I'm going to do a quick pan over the moulds for you so you can see what they look like now and what I'm seeing. I'm not going to do a voiceover or anything. I'll just let you have a little look and you can see all the kind of colours that they've all turned in the last 3 weeks. Interesting. I don't know if I like that one. Some of these are really cool colours. Yeah, you literally can't smell these.
Really?
It's mad because we can't have done the same thing for just them in both the whip soaps and the soap bars. It's just that they're just not very strong. Fizzy with a brownie. Ooh! Rainbow, but it goes brown. So you wouldn't use that in a soap. Here's a good example of when we don't want the fragrance to turn the soap brown. So this fragrance is called Rainbow by Fizzy Whiz, and this one actually smells quite strong, but it's turned the soap brown. So typically, if you're going to use a rainbow fragrance in soap, you don't want it to go brown. It doesn't mean you can't use the fragrance, you can just call it something else. But that's an example of why you really need to test the fragrances out, because that actually smells quite good, and I might use that in a whip soap or something. I can't remember how it performed in the whip soap actually, but you might use it in a different product. But in soap, it goes brown, and that is exactly why we test these things out. Wow, what was that? Good gosh, my nostrils. Arabian Oud Musk by Scent Perfect. Well, do you know what? It does smell like the name, but that took me by surprise. Wow, Scent Perfect, good job with the strength of that fragrance. Right, catch my breath. Oh, that one smells quite strong. Black Pomelo. Oh, that's not Crafterful. That's Scented Living. That's why it smells stronger than the rest. That smells good, but it's gone brown in the soap. Ooh, I like that. I don't know if I want to tell the camera what that is though, because I think I want to use that and keep it my secret fragrance. Fragrance Oil Studio, these are good. It smells like pine tar. What's that? 107. Vanilla Milk Bottle by Scent Perfect. Scent Perfect, you're doing me today. I remember that smelling really good in the whip soaps as well, so I don't think I'm going to use that in a soap, but that has completely changed the smell of the soap, the fragrance as well, which is, again, another reason why we test it. That doesn't smell like vanilla milk bottles anymore. It smells like pine tar, but in a whip soap, yeah, we're going to use that, I think. Library book! I just smell library book. Scent Perfect, what are you doing to me? Library book is the one fragrance that just sparked so much, I don't know what the word is, but like hype in this workshop. I bought a library book as a bit of a joke because I didn't know how it was going to smell, but it stinks of a library book, and even in the soap. Oh, think of moths, think of mould, think of like damp books in a library. Scent Perfect, to be fair, you guys are great. If you want to have a Halloween soap maybe, that might actually be the one. I don't think I want to smell that again right now though. I need a break. That got me, I sniffed too hard. Didn't know what I was going to sniff there.
Yeah, nice.
How do you like that?
Not really.
But would you want to smell like a library book?
Well, no, but...
You don't mind it?
No.
Okay, cool. So after testing 150 fragrances in a whipped soap and a soap bar, I've got a bit of a conclusion. So each of the companies had good fragrances that performed really well in the whipped soap and the soap bars, and each company also had fragrances that didn't perform so well in the whipped soaps and the soap bars. For example, speeding up the trace, changing the colours, not being so strong. So every single brand had different ones, which is not a surprise because it just really depends on the fragrance oil that you're using and what it's sort of made for. For example, if it's something with a lot of vanillin in it, which is the thing that turns the soap brown, then obviously it's going to go brown. That's not on the supplier. And that fragrance might have another use in a different product, or you might want the soap to go brown, and that is also okay. So from the fragrances that I've tried, again, I haven't tried every single fragrance from every single brand, but from the ones that I've tried from the companies, Fizzy Whiz ones weren't as strong, and it may just be that we just didn't use enough. Like their usage rate actually might be a little bit higher, and maybe we just didn't use enough. But a generalization is most of them weren't quite as strong. But having said that, that was the brand that we actually found the most dupes from for some of our core range and other scents that we sold before. So we are going to be using Fizzy Whiz going forwards, which is a great result. With Scent Perfect, from the fragrances that we tried, most of them went brown or sped up trace. But again, I used Scent Perfect already in some of our soap bars, and we haven't tried their whole range. Just the ones that we tried, a lot of them went brown or sped up trace. And again, that's okay, it's just a test. And I will probably have some soaps that I want to use that fragrance for, and I'm quite happy for the soap to turn brown. So yeah, overall, I love the fragrances. Again, I would say what I would say in the first video. A generalization of Scent Perfect, the fragrances are probably aimed more to a more mature audience, but that doesn't mean we aren't going to use them. We already do, and we might actually want to have some fragrances from that collection anyway, because that might be what we're going for one of our launches. With the Fragrance Oil Studio, I was pleasantly surprised with these. Again, some of them, you know, some of the soaps went brown, some of them sped up trace, like we found with all the brands. But there was a really, really good mix of interesting fragrances with there, which I personally like, and they're personally good for my brand. So I'm definitely going to be going back and using Fragrance Oil Studio again. In fact, I've already actually put some new cosmetic product safety reports through with their fragrance oils. So they are going to be one of our new suppliers with some of our fragrances. With Scented Living, some of their fragrances are actually quite strong, and I'm not surprised. I think I said in the first video that I had a feeling they were going to perform really well in soap bars, and they did. Again, some of them did go brown, some of them different colours, but again, that's what we expect from every company because it depends on the fragrance oil. But I'm definitely going to be using them going forwards. I haven't used them before in soap. I don't have any cosmetic product safety reports at the minute with their fragrances in them, but I have actually come up with some brand new fragrance oil blends where I've mixed a few of their fragrances together. I don't think I'm ever going to spill the secrets on what I've mixed together, but we've got some really good concoctions. Is that the word? I don't know. But we're going to be using them going forwards, and I'm really excited about it. With Crafterful, I kind of found with those again, the fragrances weren't as strong, but again, I haven't used the whole range, I haven't used every single one, just a generalization, the fragrances weren't as strong, sort of like Fizzy Whiz. But again, I have actually found some fragrances which are dupes of our current core range and scents that we've done throughout the seasons. So we are going to be using Crafterful for some of their fragrances going forwards. Finally, we have Just the Soap. I only tried about 4 of their fragrances because they don't have a massive range. We already used Just a Soap for some of our current soap fragrances, and I think from memory, every single one of those fragrances that I tried actually performed really well, and I really like them. So we are going to be using Just a Soap for some brand new fragrances going forwards. So yeah, super excited so far. In case you did miss the first video and you're not really too sure why we're doing this, one of our suppliers went bust at the start of the year, and unfortunately I used them for a lot of our fragrances. Lesson has been learnt. In the UK we have super strict cosmetic laws, and all of my cosmetic product safety reports, basically the certificate which allows me to sell what we sell, they're very specific to the ingredients that you use, and because that supplier had gone bust, it kind of meant my reports were void essentially. We're doing these tests to see what fragrances we can find to replace the old ones and get the free change on my reports, if that makes sense. So if you are a follower on our socials, you will already know that we are going to be saying goodbye to some of our current core range. And that is just because I haven't been able to find a fragrance oil that's good enough to replace the ones that we currently have. But I don't know about you, I'm really excited about this. I really think this whole situation is a massive blessing in disguise. I was only really using one supplier before, whereas now I have found only, 6 new suppliers so far. I'm going to be testing more fragrances from other suppliers, but I've already found 6 brand new suppliers, all each with a different kind of style of fragrances as a generalization. And I'm really excited to show you guys what I've been smelling and put it in a real product and let you guys see the magic, because some of these fragrances smell incredible, especially some of the blends that I've come up with. I can't wait to show you those ones. But yeah, overall, I'm really excited about this. I know it's quite sad to say goodbye to some of our current core range, but it just means bigger and better things are coming, so watch this space.